All right. So for view questions, what we'll do, we'll show the questions in a modal pop-up. Okay. So for this, we need to have that modal somewhere. So we'll again go back to Bootstrap's website, and here in components, we should have modal, this one. Okay. And we'll find out a modal. This is it. And static backdrop, scrolling long content. We don't want this everything to be scrolled like this. We want a scroll bar inside this only, inside this modal pop-up. This one. Okay, we need this one. Launch demo modal. Let's see which one is this. This is modal dialog scrollable. This thing we need to add, where for this we'll go here and we'll copy this modal thing. Okay, then we'll clean it up. So let's copy this thing. And now this modal pop-up, this can be used somewhere else as well. So we'll create this modal pop-up as a reusable shared component. So let's go to shared component. Do we have anything in here? Not yet, right? So in shared components, I'll create a components folder. Inside this, I'll say modal dot razor. Okay, let's quickly verify if it is the correct build action. It does not have, so it should be content. We already faced some issue for this, right? Again, let's try modal properties content. We are good. All right, here we are going to have a code section. Before that, we'll simply paste whatever we copied. Okay, now in this, first thing we need to have this as that scrollable content. So in the with the div class modal dialog, we want modal dialog scrollable, this class. So modal dialog is here. We'll add this thing here. Let's see if we need anything else. Vertically centered. This is fine. Vertically centered modal. This is fine. This does not matter for us. But even if we want to do this, we can simply say modal dialog centered. Right? Just copy this and add it here on this modal dialog. After that, tooltips and popovers using the grid, varying modal content. We don't need anything from here. Toggle between modals. We don't need changing animation. All these things. Full screen modal, and we have these full screen modal as well. Right now, I don't think we need it, but we'll see. If we want it, we'll do this. Then there should be some size related stuff as well, right? So size, let me find out. Optional sizes. So extra large, this length, large, this length, and small, this one. So we have these four things. I don't know if you can see it. Let me try to zoom this. All right. So these are default, that is class is none, that means no class is required, which is default. Max width is 500 px. Then we have small, modal SM, large, modal LG, extra large, modal XL. Now in our use case, because we are making this modal dialog as a reusable control, so we might want to reuse it as some place with some different size. So for this, what we'll do, we'll try to use these classes, and these should be added to modal dialog. So what we'll do, we will go to our shared project. In here, I'm going to create a new enum, and I'll call it, let's say, modal size. dot cs. This should be public enum, and here I'll say small, large, or maybe what was that, access or direct sm, what was that, sm for small, default, large, extra large. Let's do this only, small, large, extra large, and the default, let's have default as well, default. So these four things, small, medium, large, small, default, large, and extra large. Save it. And now we'll go to our modal.razor component. Here we are going to have a property. In IntelliSense is not working, so public modal size, and we'll say size. This should be get set, and this is going to be parameter, and we are going to have a default size as modal size dot default. Okay, now on the basis of this modal size, we want to have those classes here, the size classes. So for this, what we'll do, we'll have a computed property here. So private string, we'll say size class, and here we are going to have a switch expression. So here we'll say modal size switch, and here if this is modal size dot small, if that is the case, we'll say modal sm. I'm going to copy it a couple of times. If this is default, we will not have any class. If this is large, we'll say modal hyphen lg, and if this is extra large, we'll say modal hyphen xl. And if for default case, although this will not come, but still we can simply use default blank. All right, now we can use this size class directly on this div class modal dialog. Now apart from this, let's see what all dynamic things we need. We need this modal title. This should come from the caller. So here we will say public string title get set, and this should be a parameter, and this parameter is going to be required. So here we'll say editor required. This does not throw error, but it indicates a warning on the caller side, so that caller knows that this needs to be this parameter needs to be passed. Title, we are going to use this title here, add the title. After that, we need this modal body. So this could be any dynamic set of HTML. Okay, so for this we are going to have a render fragment. So public class, not class, public render fragment child content with get set. And again, this is also going to be parameter and editor required. We need this to be passed as well. Okay, then we'll simply display it here with @child content. Then we have these two buttons, close and understood. So here with modal footer, let's do this. Let's use display flags and justify content between, so that these two buttons are on each side. So it should be on left side, it should be on right side. Now this btn primary, this main button here, this button text can also be a dynamic. Okay, because we are making this component as a dynamic component, so this button text can also be dynamic. So here we will have public string, let's say OK button or action button text. So get and set, and this will be parameter, and we will have a default value as okay. Action button text, and looks like we are good, right? Now there is one more thing. When we are closing it, we might want to notify the caller of this component, consumer of this component, that user has clicked on this OK button or close button or this close icon, right? So here we are going to have two what we call two event callbacks. Okay, so here we'll say public event callback, and we'll name it uh, on action button click with get and set. This will be parameter. Then same thing, we are going to copy this, and here we'll say on cancel click, and this is also going to be parameter. And now with this, we need to call these two things. So on this action button click, we'll say @on click equals call this, and then on cancel click, this we'll do on the first one, we'll say on click, and then we'll simply copy this and have this on the close button as well. So save everything, and let's just try to show this on our manage quizzes page here on view questions. So here I'll say on click equals, let's say, view questions, and we'll pass this current quiz as a parameter. Let's define this method here. Private async task view questions async, and we'll have quiz list DTO q as a parameter, and let's rename this view questions async. It should be view questions async. All right, now what we'll do, we need to have a list of questions. So we'll say var question DTO array of this underscore, we can say viewing questions equals empty array, and we can have a flag as well, private bool, let's say show questions modal, default value as false, of course. Okay, now when we are here we'll say fetch the questions from the API, we'll do this, and after that we'll say show questions modal equals true. Now on the basis of this show questions modal, we are going to display our modal. So here we'll say if show questions modal is true, we are going to have our modal, which is not coming here. Let's do this. Let's shared components. Okay, we didn't add this. First thing, let's try to get the IntelliSense back. So I'm unloading this project. You can close the Visual Studio, open it again. It should work if this happens with you. And then we'll say reload project. Then if you go to Modal, we can see IntelliSense is working, and here we are saying modal size. This should not be modal size, this should be size, and we are good. Okay, save everything. Let's go back to our manage quizzes page. Here we are going to have modal, and it is not coming. Oh my god, why is it happen? So this should be, we'll add this using statement right now. Let's try to add it here only, then we'll add it at some other place. Components blazing.quiz.shared.components, Okay, dot components. We again have components. We should have named it something else, but let's say components dot components. And then we should have this modal. Right now it is not coming. So for this also, let me do this. Let me exclude this project as well and then reload. Let's see if it is able to figure out that what we are using here. So pages, admin, manage quizzes, and it is still not able to understand it. Okay, so let me close the Visual Studio and open it again. So I just closed Visual Studio and opened it again, and now we can see this is working. All right, with editor required, you see there is no error, but you can see this line. So with editor required, it shows this warning sign, and then if we hover over it, it shows that model expects a value for the parameter title, and same thing with child content. So we need these two things, at least these two things. So title will define, let's say, questions, and then it needs child content. So here we can simply have the list of all the questions. We'll have this list of questions. Right now I just want to see if modal is working, and then here we can say action button text. So okay is fine, or we can skip this if we want to. Then we have on action button click. So what should happen when we click on this action button? We will simply change this show question modal to false, so that it just removes this modal from the UI. And same thing should happen on cancel click. Show questions modal equals false. You can have a method as well if you want to have some additional stuff to do. Save everything. And now let's try if we are able to show this modal. API and then UI, manage quizzes, reload. There is some error. What is the error? 401. Yeah, we need to handle this as well. Okay, we'll do it. Login. Go to manage quizzes and view questions. Nothing is happening. Why nothing is happening? Let's see if we are able to have that thing here. After this table, we have this modal. So modal is here, but somehow it is not showing. And why it is not showing? Because we used the default version without showing it. So right now this is the thing which we have. But if we try to open any modal here, let's open this thing. If we check what it does on this modal, div class modal fade show, it adds this show class, and it has this style display block, these things. So we are going to do this. Add this show class, then add this display style block. Or maybe let's do this. Let's copy this div, this complete div, the first div only. Copy it. Go to our code. Go to our modal.razor. Go to the first div. And we'll add this thing. Save everything. Now let's see if there is anything else. Modal dialog, content, everything is fine. But after this, there is one more thing. You see the backdrop, that faded thing. So for this, what it does, I think it adds overlay class at the very end. This one, div class modal backdrop fade and show. So this HTML also will get it and add it in here only. Save it. Now we should be good. Let's restart. Okay, API is here, UI is here, manage quizzes, view question, and we can see this, you see. And when we close, it simply goes away. With OK, with cancel, it goes away. So we are good. We are able to show this modal. Now we'll have this list of questions here. Alright, let's quickly do this. We have already created API for this, right? If we check quiz endpoints, we have these questions. So let's go to manage quiz, and here what we'll do, we'll simply say underscore viewing questions equals await quiz API dot get quiz questions async, and here we need quiz ID, so q dot id. All right, now we'll simply loop through this viewing questions and we'll display these here in this modal. So here we'll say, we'll first check if, although this shouldn't be the case, right? There can't be a case where some quiz does not have any question, because questions is required, right? So instead what we'll do, we'll directly add a for each loop here. We'll say var q in viewing questions, and here we can have maybe ulli or just div class. We'll say mb2. Inside this we'll simply display the question text q dot text. And on this div we can have maybe shadow p2 border left. Can we have border start? I don't know what these, how these border classes work, but let's say border start, and then let's say border success. Let's see how it looks. So we are going to have the list of questions in this. Save everything. Save, and let's try to start it again. Manage quizzes, view questions, and we can see this does not look good, but at least we can see this. Let's see how would it look with a lot of questions. Okay, so for that what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply for now just going to modify this viewing questions. Here we can say equals dot dot this dot dot, just for testing to see if there are multiple questions, will the scroll work. I have added a lot of questions. I've just duplicated this. So let's try to hot reload. Refresh. View questions, and yes, we can see the scroll bar, right? So we are good. Now next thing, for these questions we need this size to be bigger, because the question text might be bigger. And then let's try to change these classes. What if I don't have any border? How would it look with this shadow? If I remove these border classes, yeah, I think this is good. This is nice. Not very good, but better than the current thing, right? So we'll remove all these border classes. MB3 I'm going to have. And then next thing, what was that? Size of the model. So here I'll say size equals modal size dot Large or extra large? Let's have large. Save it, start it. Manage quizzes and view questions, and now we can see these questions. All right, so this is good. We are good with this screen, I guess. Now we can work on this edit functionality. We'll click on it and it should go to the same add quiz page with all the quiz information pre-filled. Maybe after that we should work on this UI. We'll try to make it look good. Okay. Alright, let's quickly finish this edit.